Good afternoon, members, and welcome to this afternoon's meeting of Wigtown Divisional Licensing Board, commencing Wednesday, the 22nd of June 2022 at 2 p.m. Just ensuring that you're all present. I can see Councillor Giusti, Councillor Hagman, Councillor Hill, Councillor Inglis and Councillor McCammon. So we have 5 members present with us today. As this is our first meeting following the council elections, turning to the agenda in terms of item number 1, you're required to appoint a convener to chair this meeting and all other meetings moving forward. Can I ask for any nominations for convener, please? Councillor Inglis?
Can I propose Councillor Giusti?
Anybody to second that, please?
I'll second it.
I'm sorry, which councillor was that? Beg your pardon?
Councillor Hill.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Councillor Giusti, you've been nominated and seconded to be appointed as convener. Are you happy to accept that role?
I'm happy to accept that role, Caroline.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Right, folks, I'm a wee bit rushed this one. I've not been on the licensing board for a while, for a couple of years. So hopefully this will go smoothly. First of all, I'd like to welcome all the members to our first licensing board of this session, of this new council term. And it's good to see many old faces returning and a couple of new faces on the board. I would like to remind all members that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed. And I remind members to follow good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones, switching off video when you're not addressing the meeting. Should you wish to contribute to any item, you should write speak in the Teams chat function or raise your virtual hand and you will be invited to speak in order. Should your question or issue be raised by a previous speaker, please withdraw your request so that we can deal with the business as efficiently as possible. And with that being raised, so I'd just like to switch back over. Can I bring us on to item 2, which is threatened and apologies. And I can confirm that I'm happy for online participation of the meeting to be accepted. Has anyone got any apologies or servants?
Convener, I can confirm that there are no apologies. Thank you.
No problem. That brings us on to item 3, which is declarations of interest. Does anyone have any interest to declare? I'll take the silence as no. The meeting of the 18th of March, minutes for approval. Do we have a mover and a seconder? I think the only members that could move and second that are Katie and David.
Yeah, Chair, I'm happy to move that. I think it is only me and David that are able to, so I'm happy to move if David is able to second me on that one.
Yeah, I'll second Katie on that one. Thank you.
That's terrific, not a problem. Moving on to item 5, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for occasional licences and extended hours granted under delegated authority, report by the clerk to the board. I'll hand over to the clerk.
Thank you, convener. So these are just for noting by yourselves. Thank you.
Are the members happy to note?
Yep, happy to note, Chair.
Excellent, not a problem. On to item 6, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for minor variations granted under delegated authority, report by the clerk to the boards. Over to you, clerk.
Thank you, convener. And these again are just for noting. Thank you.
And moving on to item 7, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, applications for transfer of premises licence granted under delegated authority, report by the clerk to the board. You, clerk?
Thank you, convener. Can I, it might just be my audio, but did I hear you confirm that item number 6 was noted just for our procedure? It was. Thank you very much. And again,
I'm happy to note that one.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And item number 7 again, convener, the transfer of premises licences granted via delegated authority. And if I could just have your confirmation that that's noted also. Thank you.
Are the members happy to note? Yep.
Yep.
Noted.
Happy to note.
And then moving on to item number 8, Licensing Scotland Act 2005, application for surrender of premises licence granted under delegated authority, report by clerk.
Thanks, convener. Again, that's just for noting. Thank you. So if I can just have your confirmation that it's noted.
Are the members happy to note?
Noted.
Yep, happy to note.
Happy to note.
Yep.
On to item number 9. Licensing Scotland Act 2005, application for transfer of premises licence, the Ruddycote Hotel, London Road, Stranraer. Report by the clerk to the board. Clerk, over to you.
Thank you, Convener. Can I just first of all check that we do have the police with us today? I do believe I saw Sergeant Julia McKee, and also in respect of the application, I can confirm that the applicant, Mr. Joseph Henry Rothmond, is not attending with us today, but the proposed transferee, i.e. the entity to whom the licence is requested to be granted, Mr. David Henry and Mrs. Sarah Henry, have advised that they are with us today. So can I just check that Mr. and Mrs. Henry are here, present, and can hear me clearly, please?
Caroline, they were going to be phoning in, but I don't see them.
Are you able
as
to?
yet.
Are you
Yep,
able to chase them, Aideen, and just to facilitate their attendance at this remote hearing, if that's okay? Thank you.
Yes, I'll do.
Caroline, should we adjourn for 5 minutes to allow that, to facilitate that?
We could either adjourn, Convener. I guess it really depends on how long it's going to take
Right.
Aideen to make contact with them. They should be with us now because they have confirmed their attendance.
No problem, we'll give them a few minutes.
Unknown participant is now joining. Please leave your name and your number, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you. Please leave your message after the tone. To re-record your message, key # at any time. Unknown participant.
Maybe it might be best to adjourn for 5 minutes. I'll try again, Caroline. I'll email them as well.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
we'll adjourn for 5 minutes. Well, we'll adjourn till 1:15. Will that be enough time?
Yes, should be,
Okay.
hopefully.
We'll adjourn till 2:15.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
All the members back, and are we quorate?
Yep.
Yes, here.
I'll just check there, convener. We've got yourself, Councillor Hagen, Councillor Inglis.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, everybody's here. Thank you.
Everybody
You're
jump.
all here, all five.
No problem. Were we able to get in touch with the applicants?
Now, that's what I
Um,
believe. I'll defer to Aideen, who's now with us. Thanks, Aideen.
Yes, unfortunately not. I've tried both numbers and left a message, and I've emailed him, but as yet no reply. He did assure me the other day that he was happy to dial in at the start of the meeting.
So just for the avoidance of doubt, Aideen, did both Mr. and Mrs. Henry confirm attendance at today's meeting? Was it via telephone, or I know they were attending by telephone. Was that a few days ago they did confirm their attendance?
Yes, it was Monday. Mr. Henry confirmed that both he and his wife would attend. So the latest email from him was 20th of June in the morning. So.
Well, they've had a sufficient amount of time to join the meeting, and they've known about it, and they've agreed to join the meeting. If they haven't, I don't think we should. I don't think we have the time to wait for them. I think we should go on with the business. So,
May I
Carly?
just yeah, thanks, Kenny. So of course it is a matter for yourselves. You've got two options here. You can consider this application in their absence. If you do so, of course, you're not going to be able to hear Mr. Henry's position in relation to these disclosed relevant offences. So therefore, on the one hand, he won't actually be given an opportunity to present himself. And of course, you don't know the reasons why Mr. and Mrs. Henry are not in attendance today, given that they did confirm their attendance. So you can proceed in their absence, but in terms of natural justice, you may wish to consider, given that you don't know the reasons why, you may wish to consider deferring. You can defer one more time to enable them to appear and speak to the issues raised in the police letter, but it's entirely a matter for yourselves, convener, whether to defer to enable them to present their case because you don't know why they've not turned up today, or proceed in their absence, in which case you're only going to hear one side, being the police speak to their letter. Thank you.
Thanks, Caroline, for that advice. What do the members think? Councillor Inglis.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how it's going to impact on the business. If we defer, if it's not going to impact on the business and it's simply a case of moving this forward a couple of months or whatever, then I would be quite happy to defer it, I would think, convener.
No problem. Councillor Hagman.
Thank you, convener. I think it is important that we hear from all parties before we make any decisions on this. So if we're unable to get all parties to the meeting today, then yes, I would support deferring it. I am conscious it is only 18 minutes past 2, whether it would be appropriate to maybe try again at 30:30 and give just an extra 10 minutes. I don't know if that would be suitable for other members. Obviously, this is the only other item on the agenda. So I'm happy to try and wait until 30:30 just to give the applicant every opportunity, but obviously it's up to the entire committee here. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Councillor Hagman. I think I'm in a bit of agreement with you there. I would be considering maybe adjourning again, maybe till 30:30, and if so, we can adjourn the hearing. But I've got Councillor Inglis want to come back in.
You know, it was really just to agree with Katie on that one. I think it's fair to say this is the last item on the agenda, you know, and we've sort of whizzed through the first 7. So yeah, I think it would be a good idea just to adjourn for a wee while and give them a wee bit more time.
So I think members will adjourn until 30:30, and hopefully our applicants will be here with us then. I'm just seeing no other hands are up. So we'll adjourn till 2:30.
And we'll still try to contact them, yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Aideen, are you happy to continue to try and make contact with them?
Yes, will do,
Thanks.
Caroline.
Thank you so much, Aideen. I know you've
Thanks,
probably
Aideen.
done your best. Cheers. So, convener, just to say that I do believe we have Mr. Henry with us now.
I heard Mr. Henry come in. Good to have you with us, Mr. Henry.
Yes, yes. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, Mr. Henry, yeah.
Yeah.
Members were back online, back from our adjournment. Can I just confirm that we're chorus and have all our members back?
Can I just go through, convener, the names if I may? It's probably easier for me to do it that way. So I've got yourself, convener, Councillor Hagman. Are you
yes,
here?
I'm here, Caroline.
Thank you. Councillor Hill. Are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm here.
Councillor Ingalls, I can see Councillor Ingalls and Councillor McCammon.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. It's just an easier way to go through the names sometimes. So, convener, would you like me to read the report now that we have Mr. Henry here and the police?
Yes, please, Carla.
Thank you. Mr. Henry, you can hear me clearly?
Yes.
Thank you. And we've got Sergeant McKee with us.
Yes, I'm here.
Thanks. Okay, so members, this is an application for transfer of a premises licence. The applicant is Mr. Joseph Henry Rothman. He's not with us today. He wishes to transfer the licence to Mr. and Mrs. David and Sarah Henry. Now, Mr. Henry is with us today. The reason it's before yourselves is because the police have submitted a notice that they believe it's necessary for the purposes of the licensing objective, securing public safety, that the application for transfer be refused. And the police notice is found at the appendix to this report. So in terms of suggested procedure, convener, I would suggest that you first of all hear from the police, Sergeant McKee, to speak to the terms of their report, and then questions from yourselves. Thereafter, hear from Mr. Henry. And Mr. Henry, that's your opportunity to speak to all matters raised by the police in their notice, and thereafter have questions from members. Then I would suggest, convener, that the police are thereafter given an opportunity to sum up, and also Mr. Henry's then given an opportunity to sum up before you go into session. And just to say, when you go into session for deliberations, you do have the legal power to go into a separate room and deliberate in private if you wish, or alternatively you can remain within the public forum. And of course I'm here to give any legal advice and guidance as required. So in the first instance, convener, I suggest that you hear from Sergeant McKee to speak to the terms of the police report detailed at the appendix. Thank you.
That sounds like a good way to go, Caroline. Sergeant McKee.
Thank you, Chair. In relation to the application for the transfer of a premises licence for the Rudcott Hotel on London Road in Stranraer, I have to report, in terms of section 33(6)(b)(1) of the Licensing Scotland Act 2005, I give notice that the transferee David Henry has been convicted of the following relevant offences. The date was the 21st of March 2020 at Stranraer Sheriff Court. The crime is Road Traffic Act 1988 section 51A, which is drink driving. And the disposal was a fine of £225, disqualification for 12 months, licence endorsement and a victim surcharge of £20. The second date is the 2nd of March 2022, Stranraer Sheriff Court. The offence is Firearms Act 1968 section 1(2), and the fine was £500, a victim surcharge of £20. For clarity, I confirm that Sarah Henry has not been convicted of any relevant offence. In terms of section 33(7)(a) of the 2005 Act, the Chief Constable provides the following information which is relevant to consideration by the Licensing Board of the application. On the 16th of July 2021, police attended at the home address of Mr. Henry in relation to an unrelated incident. During this time, it was discovered that Mr. Henry had an unsecured shotgun within a downstairs wardrobe of the property. As a result, his weapons certificate was seized by suitably trained officers. On checking his shotgun certificate, it was established at this time that he had not signed it. Mr. Henry was thereafter caution charged for not complying with his shotgun certificate and failing to sign the same. On the 21st of July 2021, following a family disagreement, Mr. Henry had left his home address whilst under the influence of alcohol and driven his white-coloured Ford Transit van from Portpatrick into Stranraer. Due to Mr. Henry's emotional state and the fact he was driving under the influence of alcohol, the police were contacted and the vehicle was later traced in a car park at Liddell in Stonykirk Road in Stranraer. Mr. Henry was traced nearby and required by police to provide details of the driver of the Ford Transit under the terms of Section 172 of the Road Traffic Act 1988. At this time, Mr. Henry replied that it was him. Mr. Henry agreed to provide a specimen of breath for a breath test, which he subsequently failed. He was thereafter arrested and conveyed to Stranraer Police Station, where he underwent the drink drive station procedure, providing 2 specimens of breath, with the lower reading being 67 micrograms of alcohol and 100 millilitres of breath. The legal limit in Scotland is 22 micrograms of alcohol and 100 millilitres of breath. The circumstances surrounding both of Mr. Henry's convictions show poor judgment and are concerning given the responsible nature of the position of premises licence holder. In light of this, the Chief Constable considers that it is necessary for the purposes of securing public safety licensing objectives that the application for the transfer of the licence to be transferred be refused. The Chief Constable accordingly makes a recommendation to that effect under terms of Section 33(7).
Is that all, Sergeant McKee?
Yes.
Yes. Open that up to members. I see Councillor Ingalls has his hand up. Councillor Ingalls?
Yeah, sorry, convener. Yeah, it's just a wee bit of clarity on the dates. Yeah, on page 25, unless I'm mistaken, it's given 2 dates, 21st of the 3rd, 22, and the 2nd of the 3rd, 2022. Whereas over the page, it's 16th of July, 2021. And the 21st of July, 2021. Can we have clarity on the dates?
Yes, the dates that I've given you initially were the dates that these trials were heard at Stranraer Sheriff Court.
Got you.
They were reported separately and heard on 2 different dates.
Okay, thanks for that.
And Councillor Hagman?
Thank you, convener. No, that's clarified. I actually had misheard and I thought the first date was 2020. So I just wanted to confirm that it is 2022 for the 21st of March. So that's fine if that's been clarified. Thank you.
No problem. And no other questions from our members? But we'll move on now to Mr. Henry. Would you like to present to us?
Yes, please. Firstly, I would like to address the firearms issue. I had held a firearms licence for about 17 years before this incident. Now, the shotgun is obviously, yes, was insecure. It was one lapse of judgment, not anything silly or, you know, it was just set aside. That's what happened there. And the signing of the certificate, again, the certificate had just been renewed and come through the post. And to clarify as well, I actually called the firearms officer up in Dumfries and actually surrendered my certificate voluntarily before it was taken from me, because obviously I knew obviously the seriousness of the situation. So I voluntarily surrendered my licence to the firearms officer in Dumfries. Which I've actually got a letter to prove this, because he said it would look good on my behalf if I ever wanted to apply for it again. Not that I do. Secondly, I would like to address the drink driving charge. Obviously, there's no excuse for what's happened, but the situation that I was under at the time was my wife had an affair and there was a lot of things going on, but the way the statement is read makes it sound like I was 3 times over the drink drive limit whilst I was driving the car, which is not true. And my solicitor could prove this. We have evidence. I drove the vehicle into the town about 4 or 5 hours after having a couple of glasses of wine. And then I was in Stranraer and I was round a couple of pubs and had drinks later on that evening when Stranraer police picked me up about 10:30 that night. I think it was 11:15. And then I was breathalyzed after I'd consumed a bit more alcohol. So again, I don't condone it, and it's the first time I've ever done anything like that. And I'd like to think that the mental stress that I was under at the time, again, doesn't excuse what I did, but it was a one-off thing that obviously is never going to happen again. That aside, I would also like to put in that we've currently been trading in the Ruddycut Hotel in London Road, Stranraer, for the past 3 months without incident or any police presence, apart from a police check when they come round to check the pub and make sure everything's okay, which obviously it was. They've probably got records of that. Basically, my wife and I have purchased this place to try and secure a family business and a future for us, and a retirement for us, and a future for our kids. Is and it's going really well. We've got it as a nice family-run business. It's like a family pub, if you like, for families. We serve meals, and the customers that we've got of the older generation, not young kids, which is the way we want to keep it. And really, I would like you to think hard, because obviously if we don't get it, it puts a kind of stop on my whole future, if you like. Really, that's all I've got to say. Really, just that it means, it means everything to us to do it.
The whole community speaking of that.
Yeah, and obviously we've got the support of the whole community around about. Everybody thinks we're doing a fantastic job, the way we're running the place, and the way the pub is presented, and bringing the pub back to how it should be, a traditional family pub for families to come and have a meal at night time. Really, that's it. Really, that's what I've got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. I heard earlier on when you first came in that you said your wife might want to say some words. Does she indeed want to say some words?
Yes, you can. She's here.
Hello.
Hello. Is this the partner in the application? Sorry,
It is. It is.
Yes,
it's Sarah Henry. I'm David's wife.
There you go. If you want to give us a.
Yeah, I would just like to second what David said, really. It was what we went through last year was obviously my fault, my problem, and I put David under a lot of pressure. I just hope you give us a chance to prove to the community that we can do it.
Not a problem. So can I open up to members from the questions from the members? Sorry. Do any of the members have questions for the applicants? Councillor Hackman?
Thank you, convener. So thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Henry, for coming to speak to us today. I don't know if you can both hear us if we're on speakerphone here.
Yes,
my question, great, thank you. My question really is for yourself, Mr. Henry, and you spoke about the incident involving the Road Traffic Act in 1998 and the drink driving offence that went to the Sheriff Court, and you said in your statement to us that you had information to prove that you had driven to Stranraer and then gone out, so therefore it was factually incorrect. However, it did go to court, and I'm just wondering, was that information presented at the time? Because obviously there was an endorsement put on. So I appreciate what you're saying, but equally we're looking at the information that we've been presented to us. So I didn't know if you wanted to maybe expand anything about the circumstances of that court case.
Yes, my solicitor, Mr. Feeney, Paul Feeney, from Ferguson and Co. Actually, we had a toxologist report done, which says obviously that I wasn't 3 times over the limit whilst I drove the vehicle into the town. But also we've got witnesses, and if we needed it, well, if it's still available now, CCTV footage from various pubs that I was in at the time, after I was, arrested. But I took my solicitor's advice because the court had been the court date had been put off like 3 times due to various different things. My solicitor basically just advised me to go up to court, plead guilty, and take the best thing they had, because he says if I go up and argue with the court and try and prolong things and everything, it could worsen for me. So the court basically took into consideration everything that happened. Yes, they banned me for 12 months, but they reduced it to a 9-month period. So basically, I've got to attend the drink drive rehabilitation programme, which obviously I have to do over video link as well. But that's it, really.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's helpful. Thank you, Mr. Henry.
Any other members for questions? I'm not seeing any hands up, Mr. Henry, but I've got a couple of questions. Well, maybe just that.
Yes.
Maybe just for an explanation. So we see that this is on the 16th and the 21st of July 2021. So within a week of each other, the two incidents. So I imagine from what you've explained, it was a very difficult time for yourself. And we can't see any other convictions other than that. Is there any other convictions that you have got in the past that?
No, I am an upstanding member of the public. I mean, I spent 10 years in the military serving Queen and Country, and it was purely that, you know, I mean, my wife and I have been married for nearly 20 years with trouble-free, happy marriage, and I don't know, my wife went through a bit of depression, and, you know, obviously somebody else showed her a bit of attention, and then obviously it was a blow to my world, because we've got 3 kids. You know, I've got a 5-year-old and a 9-year-old and an 18. So it was a bit of a blow to my whole world, thinking I was going to lose everybody, you know, and it put me in a bad place at the time, you know, and that's all I can really say, and honest, you know. But obviously, since then, you know, we've had, you know, marriage counselling, we've come through it, we're happier and stronger than ever, and it's actually helped us, if that doesn't sound too strange. It's made us better understanding of each other as well.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. If there's no other questions from members, can we move on to the wrap up from the police?
Thank you,
and
Chair.
I would invite Sergeant McKee.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity in relation to the police report, officers attended at the address at 21:30, that's 9:30 at night, and Mr. Henry was traced at 21:50, that's 20 minutes later in Stranraer. My summing up would just be, as I said before, it was just to highlight the nature of the convictions, showing Mr. Henry's poor judgment and the seriousness of the offences.
And is there any questions for that sum up? Nope. Moving on, Mr. Henry, would you like to sum up?
Just basically, I would just like to say that, you know, yeah, thanks very much for your time, and obviously I hope you can see that, you know, surrounding the situation is what caused this. You know, I would like to think I'm an upstanding member of the community. You know, I've never been in trouble before. You know, clean records, clean military records throughout my 10 years. And I just, you know, would like a chance to prove that to the board, you know.
And moving on, has anyone got any questions for Mr. Henry's sum up? I'm not seeing any hands. I'll put this back on to you, Caroline. Is there anything that I've missed or anything that we need to go over before we go into session? Oh, sorry, Councillor Hagman.
Sorry, Convener, maybe Caroline wants to come in, but I was going to request that we move into private session to deliberate on this one.
We'll hear from Caroline first to make sure that we've dotted all our I's and crossed our T's, and then we'll go on to that. So thank you, Councillor Hagman.
Thanks, Convener. Yes, so I mean, I'm here to assist and guide you as required in terms of the law, and that can be discussed in session if you've gone through your procedures here, and you can decide whether you wish to hold a session in public forum or alternatively go into I call it now an IT breakout session, whereby you can have private deliberations. You've retained that legal power to do so, Convener. Thank you.
So I'm quite happy to remain in public, but Councillor Hagman would like to go into private session. Would anyone else like to break out into private session?
I think it would be beneficial.
Go into private session? Not a problem. Not a problem, Councillor Ingles. I suggest that we'll go into a private session then, members. I'm not sure how that is accommodated over online, if we'll be invited into a separate room or not.
I can say I have a draft meeting invite, a separate meeting invite set up, so I'll send that just now. So if you want to go into it as a separate meeting amongst yourselves and Caroline, it should just come through shortly.
So Aidan, just for clarification there, when you say there's the separate meeting, are we actually leaving this session and then going into a separate Teams invite, or do we need to do anything?
Yes, it will be a separate meeting invite. So this meeting could be adjourned, but I suppose leave the meeting and we'll restart it when it's ready, when everyone's ready to come back.
So we'll leave this meeting, then we go into our calendar and accept another Teams.
Yes,
link.
and then go back into the original invite and rejoin this meeting. That should be
So
fine.
it's all done via the calendar.
Yeah, I'll just go and press send on the draft invite now and it should come through.
No problem. So members, I'll get you in the new meeting. If you would like to hang on, Mr. Henry.
Yes, not a problem.
So, Mr. Henry, what's happening now is the board's gone through the procedure and has heard from yourself and has heard from the police, and they're now going to go into a private session to deliberate matters. OK, so you're asked to just hang on in there. OK, thank you.
OK, thank you.
So members, we're coming out of this session and we're leaving it, and we will re-enter this session, is my understanding.
And what is the And are we all in? Caroline, can you make sure that we're quorate and every member's back?
Yes, of course, convener. If I may, I'll just go through my sort of school list again. I can see, obviously, you're here, and Councillor Hagman, are you with us?
I am.
Thank you, Councillor Hagman. Councillor Hill?
Yeah, I'm back.
Thank you. I can see Councillor Inglis and Councillor McCammon.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. So all 5 members are present, convener. Thank you.
Members are back, excellent. So thank you folks for your patience. We've taken legal advice and the board have deliberated. I would like to invite any of the board members to make comments but before we go any further. I'm not seeing any hands. So I would like to give the decision of the deliberation of the licensing board. We don't feel that the police have demonstrated that the necessity is met. This necessity is a high threshold to meet in law, and we don't believe that the police's letter is robust enough to prove the necessity of refusal. Basing our decision on the 5 licensing objectives, the board does not believe that Mr. Henry's convictions can be linked to the sale of alcohol, and therefore the board are unanimously agreed to grant the licence. Oh, and I have a hand up from Councillor Inglis.
Yeah, sorry, convener. I was just going to move that we grant the licence. That was all.
No problem. So we've got a mover, and I'm happy to second. And we've got no dissenting voices I can see, and no hands going up. So, Mr. Henry, your licence has been granted.
Well, I'd like to thank you very much for your time and for making that decision. And I'm sure my wife and I will prove you right for making that decision.
Thank you, Mr. Henry. And Caroline, is there any final words from the clerk's point?
No, convener. In this instance, under the Licence of Scotland Act 2005, the police don't have a right of appeal, but of course they may wish to take their own legal advice in that regard. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you very much. And I'm not seeing any other business on my agenda here. So with that, the date of the next meeting is Friday the 16th of September 2022, and I look forward to meeting you all then.
Thank you.